chili is one of those recipes that always hits, but this is comfort, love, and warmth and spice all wrapped up into one. Welcome to Make It Dairy Free. I'm Larisha, and today I'm showing you how I make my sweet potato chili. You'll need about 10 minutes of prep cutting your vegetables, but we're going to toss all of this inside a crock pot for epic deliciousness that will make you want more than one bowl. So I was inspired to make this recipe because I may or may not have added an extra bag of sweet potatoes into my cart, thinking that I needed more to make sweet potato pies, and now I have leftover sweet potatoes. It's okay though, let's make sure we don't waste these. Sweet potatoes are cheap, delicious, and a huge power source for our bodies. What I love about this recipe is that you don't even have to peel the skins off. We're leaving them on and loading up the fiber that they provide. You just want to make sure that you cut the ends off, as they can be tough, and then any spots that you see on your sweet potatoes that could be cuts or bruising, you want to make sure you take that off as well. And then we are just going to cube these into about 1-inch size pieces. We're trying to keep everything the same size-ish for even cooking throughout our crock pot process. All right, so let me let you in on one of my crock pot secrets. So as soon as I commit to a savory crock pot recipe, I plug my crock pot in, turn it on high, put the lid on, and then I start chopping all of my ingredients and prepping and making sure I have everything out. And this next step is exactly why I do that. So this first step for our crockpot recipe is completely optional, but I'm going to start by drizzling a little bit of oil, and then I'm adding all of my seasons, which I'll list here over on the side. Then I'm going to stir all of this together and let this heat up for about 5 to 10 minutes until you can start smelling all of your spices. It will become very fragrant, and that is what you are looking for. This step does take a few extra minutes rather than just dumping everything in, but it is for a good reason, and let me nerd out for just a second and explain why. All right, so what we are doing here is blooming our spices. Typically when you cook something on the stove, you will heat up some oil and add in your onions and garlic and stuff, make that softened, and then add your spices, and you bloom spices that way. In our crock pot, we can do somewhat of the same thing. We're just heating our spices first, and that's because dried spices are actually dormant, and what the heat and the oil does is wake them up. So what this is doing is allowing the spices to release their natural oils. We're doing this at the beginning to have more flavor into our overall dish. If we waited and added in with everything else, all the other ingredients, when we just dump it in there, we have to wait until everything heats up for the spices to start releasing those natural oils. When we do it from the beginning, we immediately get flavor into our whole dish much sooner. So there's my nerd out moment. Okay, back to the recipe. After you can really smell those spices, we're literally just going to add in all our other ingredients. So yellow onions, bell pepper, any color works, garlic, beans, which I am doing 3 types of. There are black, kidney, and cannellini. All of our sweet potatoes that we chopped, crushed tomatoes, and vegetable stock. You really want to stir this around, especially so you can get all those spices at the bottom mixed around. Push all of your ingredients down into the stock as much as possible, and then into an even layer as much as you can. No worries if everything isn't covered yet. The heat will start helping release more juices, and then we are going to place our lid on, and you have the option to cook this for 3 hours on high or 6 hours on low. So while that's cooking, let's talk about some tips and other things about this recipe. First and foremost, this is completely top 9 allergen friendly. There's no dairy, no gluten, no soy, anything that is a top 9 allergen inside of this, which is super fun and great for those people that need that. As far as sweet potatoes go, yes, they are cheap, but other things that are also cheap this year that can be interchanged, not this year specifically, but like this time of year is what I meant to say, that can be interchanged with the sweet potatoes are butternut squash or acorn squash or fresh pumpkin. Any of those can be used. So maybe you have some leftover from a holiday get together or something. Maybe you only have half the amount of sweet potatoes. You can mix and match or just use one or the other inside of this, no worries. I used 3 different types of beans. I like the taste and the texture difference that each one of those gives inside of this. You could only use one if you so choose. You could also use 2 cans and maybe maybe add like a different type of protein inside of this, maybe like tofu crumbles or textured vegetable protein, also known as TVP. The choice is really up to you as far as what you do with that. You could also add in other ingredients. Maybe you want to add some corn, some extra bell peppers, green beans. That really doesn't go in chili. I don't know why that's the first thing that came to my mind. Maybe mushrooms would be a better option, but if you want to just clean out your fridge and throw anything in there, apparently that's what I was thinking, and feel free, I guess. Oh, also maybe lentils inside of there. That would definitely be a better option than green beans. Again, that first step as far as blooming the spices is completely optional. You can literally dump everything in here and just turn your heat on and go as well. Another hack that I always like to recommend, maybe you are really short on time or you're short on like having all of these spices, or what we've also done is made something like this while we are traveling and we don't want to either bring or buy all of these spices, is to use a taco seasoning pre-made mix. You'll need about 1/4 of a cup of whatever pre-made blend you use, but you can totally just use that instead of, all the different spices as well. I put this on high, so let's take a look at it. This is after hour 1, and now this is after hour 2. And then finally, this is finished at hour 3, and that's it. No need to stir between these. I just wanted to show you guys the difference, but this is what it should look at the very end. I paired this with some homemade focaccia because that is just what I was feeling in the moment. However, you could do cornbread, a classic, dinner rolls, or if you are from the Midwest, you could do cinnamon rolls. I will admit that I have never tried that option. However, maybe someone from the Midwest can comment below and tell us how good that combination really is, since it seems to be so popular. This recipe comes in at $1.60 per serving, which is super budget friendly. It is also great for meal prep as it can last the whole week, and it is freezer friendly as well. Just make sure you cool it off completely before you store it in a freezer safe container or bag. It will last for up to 3 months. I hope you love this recipe. The full recipe and instructions and amounts can be found in the description box below. You can also go to my website, makeitdairyfree.com, where you can just use the search icon and search for chili, and you will find this recipe and a few other chili options. I hope you have an amazing week, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!